the only genuine goal is the one that fulfills your life. Obviously, when you are talking about having goals, you are talking about having goals as a person. You are born, you are living, you take yourself to be a person, and you are talking about goals of that person. Essentially, you are asking what is worth doing. Essentially, you are asking what is worth taking as a goal.
What is it that we are usually engaged in? Feeding our stomachs and feeding the stomachs of those who are related by blood to us. That's what our life really is. Fundamentally, that's what we live and work for.
So what must be the goal of life then? The goal of life is liberation. There is no other reason why you are born. You are born into suffering, and you want to totally lapse out of the suffering. That is the goal of life, nothing else.
This is the month March when Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev were hanged. Do you know what was the age of Bhagat Singh? 21 was when he lobbed that bomb, and 23 was when he was hanged.
The goal of life is to not end as that which began the journey. You started your life journey with wails and tears. The goal of life is that when you go, you should go with a smile. When you die, you must have known that the purpose of life is fulfilled. You are no more carrying the same tendencies, the same sufferings, the same attachments, the same illusions that you were born with.
You need to look sharply, be very attentive, not have prejudices in mind, forget for a while that you are meant to behave in such and such way, and just look at the facts, and then it will be all very, very clear.
Then you decide what your goals must be. Then you decide what your work must be. A work is worth doing if it liberates you. If it doesn't liberate you, it is going against the overall purpose of life, and you will have only more suffering as a punishment. That's how you should look at your work. Is it liberating you? Is it challenging you? Is it breaking you down? If not, then that work is not worth doing. Work that doesn't challenge you, change you and destroy you is not work at all. What do you mean by selfless work? Work that dissolves the self. That is the meaning of selfless work. Otherwise, there is nothing called selfless work. You have talked of the freedom fighters. The greatest of freedom fighters, the real freedom fighters, had an all-encompassing vision. Their vision definitely included the freedom of the political country, but went far beyond that.
I think it was Bhagat Singh, when his mother asked him, "Why don't you get married?" He replied, "I am already married and her name is freedom." Now, it behoves a Bhagat Singh to not to get married to a woman because he has committed himself to freedom.
They wanted freedom for man himself. It was not merely freedom for a political unit. Of course, freedom for the political unit is important. But one doesn't stop at that. Man must be liberated. Man must be liberated. And for man to be liberated, all that which challenges and subjugates man must be fought. And therefore they fought. Go and ask a Bhagat Singh what he doesn't like. He will say, "I do not like chained individuals." Go and ask a Tagore what he wants. He will say, "Where the mind is without fear." It's such a beautiful poem. A mind without fear. That's what the greatest freedom fighters fought for.
It requires the guts of a Bhagat Singh. Chicken-hearted people, if you are adamant upon remaining that, then remain that. You are on the hot seat. Your life.
Choose your work with care. Selfless work means work that leads to dissolution of the self. Because dissolution of the self is the only genuine purpose of life. Figure out in your case what really challenges you. Figure out what is it that you need to do to fight and overcome the subjugating falseness. And that's how one should pick up profession, work and goals. It cannot be the same for everyone. Work will differ, but whatever work you choose must lead to liberation.